IVM.
Paying your credit card bills has never been more fun. By paying your credit card bills on time on Cred, you stand a chance to win some truly amazing rewards and cashbacks. Cred literally pays you for being good. That is paying your bills on time. So don't miss out. Just download Cred.
Hi and welcome to Know Your Kanoon. This is Amber from Ghana Ventures and welcome to another episode of the so-called Know Your Kanoon, where we try to teach you about laws and how practically India functions and how we can help you with your daily woes. And continuing our series and having the most amazing and wonderful guests on the show, I have someone remarkable. He's Ashdin Doctor, as we call him as per his series in Know Your Kanoon, one of the most successful podcasters we have and the fun individual that he is. I'm sure you all have been listening to his podcast on IVM and otherwise as well on platforms. Now I'll let Ashdin introduce himself because I can't do justice to the kind of work he does. So Ashdin, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. And please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Even I love my guests introducing themselves. I think that is the best thing to do because I completely screw up my introductions when I introduce guests on my podcast. So
absolutely.
Like Amber said, I host the Habit Coach podcast on IVM. And so I'm a habit coach. And the whole idea of habit coaching is how do we understand what are the changes that we can make in our life? And how do we break them down into small, bite-sized habits that we can do for the rest of our life? You know, normally we try and make a big change in our life and we use motivation and we use self-discipline and all those kinds of things. And it goes out the window because we start off with full josh and then within about a week or so, if you're lucky, a week or so, very often just 2 days, it is over, right? So instead, what we do is we show people how you can actually make changes using small habits and
wonderful
and understand those for your life. Yeah.
And before we start, on the legal angle, Ashdin, you're yourself a very much of a fitness guy. Since I've met Ashdin a couple of times, and so I think for him being a habit coach is good because, see, as a lawyer, I do believe in the concept that we have to start something, but then fitness for us goes for a toss. And I've seen Ashdin always being in the proper shape. He's built up arms. He's always hit. So guys, Ashdin is the guy to follow, not Know Your Kanoon for habit related stuff. He is going to guide you with your life much better than we do in terms of law. Nonetheless, jokes apart, Ashdin, thank you so much for being here. And and why we got Ashdin here today to talk is because he had this wonderful idea, and it's such a privilege for us to have him because he talks about these 6 parameters, Ashdin, which we discussed, about how life works. These are these 6 basic principles on healthy, your well-being, your being healthy, being efficient, and which also encompasses very deeper concepts of, how things around you also work and how if you inculcate them, you do become better in life. So Ashdin, over to you now. And I am your prey for the rest of the show segment, I would say, where you can just bombard me with all these questions and let's see how we can help the listeners and discuss this.
Lovely. Okay. Praying on it. So the funda is that I believe that we all deserve to have an awesome life. Right?
Agreed.
And what we need to do is we need to figure out what is the foundation that is needed to build that awesome life on.
Absolutely.
And there are 6 elements of that foundation. So the first one is movement. Mm-hmm. So typically when we only think exercise, I exercise for half an hour, I exercise for 1 hour, ho gaya kaam. No, but we need to be moving through the day. So movement is a very important aspect of it. The second is the kind of food that we have. So nutrition. So normally we talk about dieting,
right?
Not diets, but what is the actual raw materials that are going into your body? What is the quality of that? So nutrition is very, very important. The third is the quality of sleep that we have. Typically we end up saying that you should sleep 8 hours, 9 hours, jo bhi hai. But actually it's the quality of sleep. Were you disturbed during the sleep? Were you able to sleep early? All those things matter a lot. The fourth is stress. How do you de-stress? Instead of saying that I have lots of stress, I'm stress management, how do you learn to de-stress? This is a critical one for us, especially in the life that we're living right now.
Right, absolutely.
Then we have the 5th one, which is hydration. So the quality of the water, not just drinking three glasses. How do you drink the water? What is the quality of the water? Very, very important. And finally is breathing. Something we take for granted. But and we only remember on cold Delhi mornings, I'm guessing, when you can see the air in front of you, right? Till then, you can't think about the air, but only when you can see the air in front of you do you realize that, oh shit, that's going inside me. So breathing is such an important aspect. And
totally
these
agree.
6 form your foundation.
Absolutely. And I think I need to start following you regularly. In fact, I would say I do listen to Ashdin a lot, but this is something that he's given me a headspace for. And I think me and my spouse, we commit here on Know Your Kanoon that we will be following Ashdin for sure, because these are the principles that every individual should during the lockdown. In fact, more so now, concentrate on, because it's a daily life affair for all of us that we've been stuck. So, Ajahn, let's start with the first aspect. Very interesting topic you spoke about, which was movement. Now, that's very intriguing, right? People, I take movement myself as hitting the gym, right? You're working out, you're running. I mean, for me, it's more about running, cardio, etc., etc. People take it as a necessary thing to be done, as a checklist out of 10 things that I need to work out today so that I look a proper way. Your take on that?
No, absolutely. And it starts like that for many of us, right? It's like, it's easy to focus on that 1 hour, but how much movement do we get throughout the day?
Absolutely.
And because I'm on your podcast, it's important for us to also discuss how much ability do we have to get that much movement in our life.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. So like living in big cities, do we have the ability to have that movement or not?
No, absolutely. And, Ajahn, that kind of gets me to the point that, constitutionally speaking, because we do talk about law, there are a lot of things that Constitution says the state shall provide XYZ facilities, the state shall look after your health, the state shall provide you with better opportunities to grow, the state shall provide you with more kind of entertainment in terms of health development, life development, your age expectancy, etc. But the point comes down to this, whether it's Bombay, whether it's Delhi, whether it is Pune, whether it is any place in India, except for rural India, I mean, where people exercise on their own, I don't find adequate facilities being provided. Now, it's your right as a citizen to first of all question that. I'll say this so because, when you don't see the opportunity around, it also kind of make you lazy that, I don't know where to go for a run. So I'll find an excuse to stay indoors and maybe munch on a bowl of peanuts and say that, hey, I'll just skip inside, or I'll just do my 10 minutes of yoga, or I'll just try to alternate my path to fitness. But do we really have the infrastructure? No, we don't have the infrastructure. What do you do in that case? When we talk about law, the idea of questioning the system, the questioning of why we don't have this facility, it's not there in our public. Nobody questions BMC, nobody questions NDMC, the Delhi Metro Corporation, nobody questions any other municipal corporations. I use the term MCs for them. They have different meanings, but but there is no MC which is helping me to grow. Now, what does that do? Where does that leave one? I believe in Bombay. I mean, I see so many people on Marine Drive only running. But what about people in Dadar? Where do they go? What about people in Andheri? Where do they go? There's nothing there at all. And you're running on the roads. You're inhaling all the smoke. You're inhaling all the filth. There is no proper area or a park dedicated to help you run with that. Now, that's the responsibility of the municipal corporation and a fundamental right of ours. Again, I tell all my listeners when they tune in that please file public interest litigations. These are not frivolous litigations. What I mean by frivolous litigation is sometimes people do ask me that, the government says you can't file such stupid stuff. There are so many parks. There is a park next to the High Court in Mumbai where everybody's playing cricket and, people are there practicing to become the next gen of cricketers, etc. But that's not the solution to the whole city, is it, right? What about the kids who are living in societies? There is a small dedicated area, which when I was growing up, I never had such small playgrounds that I could just run from one end to the other end and then that's it. So the whole culture is dying down, and to an extent, yes, you have to blame the structure, the government structure to it, and also people's idea of not questioning it. I mean, it's directly related. So if a country that's completely dependent on cars and on no public transport, no concept of physical fitness, does not provide you with the alternate means, you're going to be like this. I mean, that's how movement is defined. So it's people hitting the gyms. I don't know, but I've seen people going around the corner to gyms in a car. I mean, it's hardly a walking distance, but because there is no infrastructure, the concept of movement is dead. So legally speaking, it's a very skewed area. There have been a lot of Supreme Court judgments, by the way, on this, where Supreme Court has said it's the job of the state to ensure that you get equal rights. But how many residents do know that? You have the right to question BMC and ask them about that. In my area, given the size of population we have, the best possible resource you have provided is a minuscule, I would say, area where You can't just exercise. People walk their dogs also in there, So where do you go? So it's a very skewed area. I think it's a very good question. But again, it's your fundamental right to have fitness first. I mean, being provided to you by the center, the adequate opportunity. Lastly, I'll tell you something very interesting on this. When I don't know if you've visited Germany or not, but if you do visit Germany or European countries, when they lay out the plans, it is a very major chunk of area which is dedicated not to housing, but to structure it around physical fitness parks to ensure that the mood of the population remains positive. People say Denmark is a very happy country, Norway is a very happy country. What makes you happy is basically happy hormones which get released because you have such facilities to enhance them. And sadly speaking, that is why India is one of the most depressed nations in the world.
Yeah. It's so strange that you said this, because that was actually the question I was going to ask you. What is it like in other countries with regards to these laws? Because I have clients in Germany, like you said.
Right. Absolutely.
And she cycles to her classes and comes back, and then she does this and walks to the place, and then they walk to the school. So there's a lot of that kind of activity that takes place. And I can't imagine for the life of me that happening in our city.
It doesn't. And the point is, it's not that this has come out of private sector getting together and trying to make societies and buildings, etc. Recreational parks, physical fitness, health is a prime criteria for the government. And there are municipal laws on this. If there is not adequate room provided for public parks, for swimming pools, for such other physical fitness amenities, the project is not passed. And if you look at India also in 1970s and 80s, parks were considered really important in some of the areas in the country where there were huge parks. I can talk about some areas because my father being in the armed forces, I have traveled and seen some parts of the country from a very different waypoint. And the local administration, let alone the military administration, the civil administration used to have beautiful parks. But it's not there anymore because the criteria is to have more, I would say, people want to make more money. The MCs are making money, sucking us dry of the taxes that we are paying, and less amount of facilities. Even a country like South Africa, I was shocked. I mean, I don't know how their development plan, I've been there, I've seen some of the stuff as a legal representative. You will not believe me that in areas even where there is unemployment upwards of 30% in that area, we were doing a legal session, and it had all kinds of public amenities, whatever you may say about their economy, because the basis of the development of that area to make it more beautiful and happy for people is that the government sanctions these. In India also there is a law. The municipal commission's job is to ensure, the municipality's job is to ensure that each municipality, the area they have these set of parameters matched, which includes deforestation. To what extent can they do it? I mean, it's so funny to see in India that a single ped which is there in the road, that cannot be deforested, but a whole forest can be cut down, to ensure that more buildings come up. Like, that's very stupid that I've seen happening. And there is no, and if you write, I mean, I don't know how many people have written, nobody writes to municipal corporations. Please write. Please form a group and write to them that in your area, this is the problem that is there. I've heard to the contrary, some oldies telling me that, yeah, we tried writing to them through our channel, but they gave us a reply saying they'll be sending somebody. I'm not saying write to them for providing you the service. It has to be divided in three parts. Your right to exercise the law, which is the constitutional right to have a better living, number one. Number two, your right to question the authority which you have. The Constitution of India gives you the right to question the authority because that authority is not absolute. If it's not responding to you, question it intermittently as much as possible, then only it becomes efficient and accountable. Number three, it is also about consumer service. You are paying a certain tax to your municipality and to your area to have a kind of a lifestyle. All right. So you are their consumers. They are providing you with that service. And you have the right to sue them under the Consumer Protection Act as well for deficiency of service on their part. All right. I'll not get into the law part because let's make the show more interesting. But these are some of the parameters which people should look at. I mean, somebody called me up one day, and one of my clients, and he said, South Bombay is like this, South Bombay is like that. I said, Bombay is one. I understand South Bombay being a separate entity, but why is it like this? It's just that because people are more proactive, they keep more pressure on the local authorities. And then I believed, and I questioned him. I said, sir, isn't it part of Mumbai overall? So he said, well, town is different. There is a different lifestyle. And so it shows the disparity even in functioning of the authorities, because they know people here are in some way connected and they will put some pressure. But to the contrary, where the common man is going to office, it's very easy. Even the authorities take you for granted that, well, he's busy from 9 to 8 in the office. By the time he comes back, he doesn't have time to question me and say, hey, the road is not there, the manhole is not there. So it's our right to question them and keep filing these repetitive pleas. It really does work. Honestly speaking, so many NGOs do it. People feel it's a waste of time. It's not. Once you try it, I know it's tough in India because there's a huge population, but you should try it repeatedly for sure. It does work. Please exercise your right. It's the constitutional right. Otherwise, we'll have terrifying leaders, and I'm not naming anyone as such, but we'll have terrifying leaders who will then tell you that it was your mistake that you did not go and take part in some dipping competition and you're sick. So please ensure yourself that you do follow your rights.
No, it's so interesting, right? Because till we are having this conversation, I'd never even thought about something like this. I always believed it was in my hands to take care of it. I didn't believe that the country could do anything for me or the government could do anything for me.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. To a major part, Ashdin, these are enshrined. People don't read up. The problem is we take it कि government का problem है, government ने करना है. That's the kind of language we use when we say, this has to be done. I call the municipal commissioner जुगाड़ है and all that. What about the common man? How do you go about it? These principles were drafted in 1950s, 1960s and 70s, initially when India was evolving as a country post-independence. They are enshrined. It is the government's job. There is a responsibility of a citizen, which is the Charter of Duties under the Indian Constitution. And then there is the responsibility of the government towards its citizens. Why do we elect a government? For a better life, for a better living. It is there. And these departments, why have we appointed a municipal commissioner of a corporation that makes 90,000 crores annually, which is more than any, I don't know, it's giving stiff competition to Ambani's, I believe. So why do we have a parallel corporation which does nothing and people keep falling in the manholes? Nobody keeps, it's very shocking. When I was in Mumbai, I literally had to swim in some parts of it to get to the Canadian High Commission. I've done a session with Cyrus on this and I was shocked. People were literally floating. What are you talking? I couldn't get from Andheri to the commission in South Bombay. It was so shocking. They had to shut the place down because so many manholes were open. So, stuff like this, right to question. You may not succeed, but you have questioned somebody and somebody has seen that letter. That means it will create a pressure on that person if it's consistent.
Okay. Fantastic. But by the way, that's what we call swimming pools in Bombay, huh?
Yeah, I had public pools, so I believe in public bathing. I swam with others. There's a BMW swimming next to me. I still remember the number. I don't want to take the name of it. It swam for a while. I told my wife, there's a BM swimming. It's floating. It crossed Juhu and those areas and came along with us. So it was very shocking for me.
Crazy. But tell me something, how does this translate to the kind of, the laws that are there for the kind of food that we can get or that we can receive? Are there are there certain aspects to that as well?
No. So Ashdin, this is all interconnected, right? Your right to have a better life, quality, nutrition, health, overall is interlinked. So there is a midday meal program being run by the government. These are all byproducts of each other, right? So at top, when I say right to life, right to quality, and I say right to a healthy living, it all has 3 parts to it. Under each of these 3 parts, there are subdivisions. These subdivisions talk about nutrition as well. Why are you not entitled? Let's say if the population of this country is underfed, I'm just taking an example. It is also the responsibility of the state to provide a certain set of nutrition to keep you happy. Now, how is law connected to your personal life? And what you're talking about is so interlinked. We have no, as a common layman, I would say not as a privileged man, if I look at it, we have no concept of nutrition. For us, nutrition is having 2 breads or to make breads in a day and have them to just have a healthy living, which is what we feel. I made bread for myself today and I'm happy. I'm able to sleep with something which is filled, which is my tummy, out of the hard work that I've done. And as a laborer, if I use ek din ka roti is the concept that I've made my day's bread and I'm happy. Why do we don't know about these nutritional standards and concept is because education does not teach us. Though the law definitely says we have not taken it as a priority for our standard of living. Yes, there is a law in place. The respective state laws state that anybody who's earning below the minimum support price or the minimum or the poverty line as I can generalize it instead of using different terms. If you're earning this much amount, which will add up to your total, let's say, calories of 1200 or 1500 calories a day, which makes it sustainable for you to live, there is a degree of nutrition that needs to be attributed to that strata of society. But how many of us do know about it? None. It's only that we see in schools where it's a real problem that you have people from underprivileged classes coming and they have to just sit for midday meals and there is rice being served as a sustenance. So I did a paper on food nutrition in Africa versus food nutrition in India. And what's shocking to see is that we are providing the same amount of nutrition which they are providing in Africa. And why I named Africa is because a lot of foreign aid pools in there. And the states have the concept of providing nutrition to their citizens as their duty. Even United Nations, right? They've taken it upon themselves that it's the duty of the world to provide this.
Correct.
Whereas in India, we have equally amount of deficiency towards Odisha, West Bengal, Bihar, and some parts of other countries where nutrition is just zilch. But since never it was a topic during our education, never did we question it while we were growing up, that, do I need to have nutrition? No, let's just eat whatever we have and be happy. Let's eat sweets all day and be happy. What that has done is that has also made the government arm and the angle also lackadaisical about it. I'll again shift to the Western countries, European countries. They do have a chapter on nutrition even in law. And even in their schooling years where they do talk about the importance of nutrition. That is why there is a nutrition department. There is a department for nutrition even in India, which tests our vegetables before they're sent to the food markets. The amount of zinc which is present, the amount of, I would say, plutonium in India rather. We are eating nuclear vegetables because I don't know what they're feeding, the amount of cancer we have in India.
Correct.
It's being bypassed. It's being passed through government hands. No mandi can sell its veggies without being first, at least being tested once in a while by the government department. In Delhi, Yamuna vegetables, it's shocking, you would not believe that they are full of so much of filth. But it's being circulated and sold because that's the only option left, a source of water. But is there a regulation? No. So ultimately, it boils down again that the government machinery and the people have to work hand in hand. Who do you write to? You have to write to, again, the municipal departments on nutrition. There are different nutritional departments here which says that in case in your area, you are finding faulty or bad vegetables, writing to them. And deficiency of nutrition, such a big, huge issue. You can question it, right? And please fill in an RTI and see the example. I know the current government, I'm talking very openly about it. They will not revert to you by saying that why have you filed a RTI on nutrition? You might just get, I don't know, I would not name, they might just abduct you. It's like living on Mars right now. But the idea is you do have the right to file that. You should know. If you don't know, file an RTI is just a couple of $1,000. You'll waste it on eating pizzas. Might as well get to know what the nutritional law in your area is and then have more pizzas. Once you know that there is nothing in place. You have to die eventually a oily death here. So that's my idea. There is a law to everything in India. There is a law even to peeing in public in India in some areas. The British left those laws, but they're obsolete now. I've never seen cops come to me when I'm drunk. And telling me, hey, today you will not pee on this wall. If I want to pee, I can go and pee anywhere. Nobody questions you, right? Ethics is a separate question, but awareness about laws is also another question.
No, absolutely. Yeah, because are there NGOs that are actually working towards this space, which is in the health wellness kind of thing?
Yes, there are NGOs. Yes, actually they're filing it. They're filing it for people. Sadly speaking, what happens is when somebody is called to testify, I work with an NGO called Stir Education. I'm naming them. They talk about wellness of kids, girl child and etc. in UP and all those areas. They do look about nutritional standards because when they are sanctioned a certain amount of cash, let's say XYZ, they have to show what is the calorie count they provided, basically to ensure that the child functions without having any damage to the body. Now, when we talk about that, you see the implication of that would be if it was part of our overall system collectively, and if we would question our nutritional bodies and authorities and healthcare bodies, we would have better products. Why do we keep cribbing about having domestic products, which are not pure or being contagious or having some kind of the other impurity or so forth, so on? Is because everybody's just trying to make money. We are not following the law which is in place, but there are standards, right? There is an AgBark standard. There is, you see a green label, you trust in it that it's true, it's correct, it's not going to be bad. Look at what Coke did in India. Coca-Cola sold nonsense for a toss. But all of this is interconnected, It's also about awareness. If I know that, let's say if 100 Coke vendors who are selling Coca-Cola here, and and you believe that out of 10 of them are selling the fake stuff, right? I'll just take the conversation towards that side a little bit. And there is a problem in the concentration solution that you have when you're tasting it, right? People say, "Arey, 8 rupees ki bottle hai, forget it, yaar, it's cold, it's hot, let's just drink it and kitna mar jaunga main," and all that. If we really approach the municipal commission and talk about that there is illicit sale of Coke in the bottle of Cokes in this particular area, I mean, because liquor we do talk about, but nobody questions beverages. They feel it's a beverage, hai, kitna damage ho jayega, but it really damages you. So nutrition does play a major role in consumerism also.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not an aware consumer, your health is at risk. That's how it's related to you.
Speaking of this is an interesting one. I've noticed that many countries have started this whole thing about sugar.
Yeah.
And giving statutory warnings about sugar the same way that they give about cigarette smoking on products.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
What would it take for something like that to happen in India?
Well, you've asked a very nice question, because you see, during the lockdown, they opened liquor shops, consume more sugar. They want sale of alcohol more. So contrary, you see, it's a distant dream for us to have. Okay, I'll take it on a lighter note. If you ever go to a Sarkari office, if there is less sugar in the tea, they'll not serve you tea. It's crap tea. So even the authorities prefer sugar. So the concept of sugar imbibed in our genes is there must be an extreme amount of sugar has to be served, because we feel without sugar nothing works. And statutory warning on sugar is, I mean, it's a joke, I would say. Why? Because there is no statutory warning on tobacco as such. There is an ad which I see the coughing guy, poor thing, again and again on TV, on movies, etc., that don't chew tobacco. Then you have stars doing ads saying that look into my eyes, Rajnigandha and all that, whatnot crap sells. That that is also because it's not that it's not in overseas everywhere. It is. People do sell all of this, but being detrimental to health, there has to be a warning. Like Canada has a law.
Correct.
All right. What the law says, you cannot sell something by making it look lucrative and attractive, which is detrimental to your health. It's in there. So it's a state subject. And what I mean by state subject is, how India is, we have central government and we have state government. It is the job of the state government, and it falls under center in a way that they can regulate it. So you'll not find glorified ads that I had tubal soda and it made my life very different. The next day, girls started dancing and stuff, like giving you vague ideas even in advertisements, especially for harmful and dangerous products, is bad. From a nutritional standard perspective, even if you look at how it is being public health distribution happens, let's say for people below poverty line, when rationing happens, especially I'll speak about the Delhi model, because I've seen that. I don't know how it happens in other parts of the country. I'm sure the government is doing a good job, because there has been a change in the longevity of people below poverty line in some areas. But at least in Delhi, I saw there is a measured portion they provide you with. But as far as sugar is concerned, people say, "Bhai, chawal le lo, sugar zyada de do. I need more sugar in the tea, and buy milk and Bonvita ke andar or sugar, extra sugar, even for poorer sections." So there is no statutory warning consent. I think for us, it's a way, way long journey on nutrition and health standards, because there is no qualifying. I have not seen any, like I spoke about fitness the other day with one of the coach and trainers, Shivam, but what a legendary guy in fitness.
Absolutely.
He was telling me there is no concept, there is no health law in India. I mean, fitness law in India. There is zilch. I don't know. Anybody can become a trainer by just picking up weights and getting themselves certified. Similarly, for nutrition, all you have to do is promote yourself as a doctor and sell yourself on nutrition by just talking about what works for you. And you become, by doing a course, a nutritionist. Where is the accountability? So I think the government is very incumbent on that. There's nothing happening on that front. And I don't think we'll have a statutory warning on sugar. Daru bik rahi hai, tobacco bik raha hai in a glorified way. Sugar is the utmost dearest thing next to alcohol in India. If you stop sugar, people will die of de-addiction of sugar.
Yeah, we do these 100-day no sugar challenges that completely blow people's brains. They're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe the amount of sugar I was having." But it's so interesting, and this leads to an interesting point, which is that how do you change culture like this, right? And who's responsible for that change?
Yes.
Because I remember. We were flying back from, I think, either Japan or China. I think it was Japan. And till that point, we hadn't seen a single, like strange to say, Indian, correct?
Yeah.
till we got onto the flight, because the flight was full of Indians. And for the first time in those 2 weeks, we were seeing people who were obese.
Exactly.
Till then, we hadn't seen obese people. So obviously, there's a
Exactly.
big cultural shift. And
Huge.
how do we change culture like this, right? At a country level, is it something that the government should be doing? Is it something that us, like, trying to slowly do a little influencing whatever we can with our podcasts and our promotions and stuff like that? What should we be doing?
I think you're already doing a great job with the challenge you spoke about in terms of keeping off self sugar. Even if you ask me, in 5 days I'll crave for one day, I must have a bite of chocolate in the evening that will satiate me. And I'll do 10 times more running in the morning and it will blow away my sugar rush. But the idea is sugar is detrimental to your health as you're talking. And it's a cultural thing, how it's imbibed. I believe in the 60s and the 70s, when India was still struggling with food, we did have plans on what kind of product should be eaten. And if you see that generation which was there in 60s, 70s that grew up, it was much healthier than what we are today. It's a generation shift that happened because once the economy opened up, we've actually only concentrated on economization rather than working towards public health. And that also leads to a cultural shift. I'll not blame the government entirely for this, or any government or any regime for this. I'll completely just blame the fact that, we have not considered these as parameters to be healthy in life. And how does one change that? It has to be a societal effort, number one. Number two, the state or the government has to push for agendas which make people happier. Now, if you look at Norway's economy, I'm again talking about these bunch of countries because they're model countries. A population, of course, being one of, and you spoke about Japan. Japan is radicalized for fitness and hard work and whatnot. I mean, they are exemplary in whatever they do because they are so convinced that this is how their population, the unity which we talk about, culturally, we are segregated into a lot of different areas. Each culture has its own source of food, protein, and regime, and the concept of sweet differs from area to area. I entirely agree to that. But even that, our whole cultural shift will come once we are given, as you said, we are taught about the warning concept, the damage that it can have on your body, the effectiveness of being healthy, inculcation of sports or physical activity in your life, which will lead to overall happier state in your personal life, which in will turn lead to happier country. Promoting more events in terms of awareness. That as a model has to be run by the public health sector, or I would say the government bodies. The NHS, as we speak about in UK, has a very diverse, or I would say very diverse program where they have different sections under which they promote and talk about national health. Seriously, other than doing just a webinar and getting 10, 20 people together and just posing photos and giving awards to people known to you, they actually do a drive where people participate to ensure these weekly marathons by Airtel, etc. People go in them in India just to socialize and meet, and I'll be like, oh, I'll get to meet Ashdin at least. He'll sign an autograph for me. The idea is not to actually promote fitness on that level. It will only come, of course, these marathons do play some part, right? Some people get addicted to it and they do start taking part in marathons to prove themselves that they're getting fitter and fitter. So on a private side, some things are happening. But what as a nation? See, in sports, if I now take it to that angle, in sports, why is it only that a country of 1+ billion has only sports persons who only play cricket? I mean, I'm not against cricket, but everybody just wants to play cricket and does not believe in physical activity of wrestling, boxing, javelin, hammer throw, or triathlons, biathlons. Everybody wants to play cricket. And I find it amazing that why is it that? Where is football? Where is hockey? It is because we are not concentrating on public health from that angle as well. We are only looking at the economic means. How do you make it a shift? Let's say in Japan, I had a Japanese co-worker, so I'll take his example. It was very shocking to see how when he woke up in the morning, he used to have a chat with his kid and talk to him about how it matters that his whole day is planned with a bunch of activities that will make him more productive overall towards contribution to his happiness. Not, I would say, in a way where he becomes a machine. The Japanese are machines, but in a way that makes him happy towards the end of the day. Where in which it is a dedicated part that they go out for fishing, hiking, or going to an area. How does one make self one more presentable when in a corporate meeting where overall fitness and well-being projects confidence and shows that you are a better person and your energies are in place, right? That kind of a concept is absent here in public health. Americans, for that matter of fact, are obese beyond levels, right? So you've seen they're not a very fit country. It seems they are very fit. They are not. The Europeans are very fit. It's more about having the understanding of the food you have. That also leads to contentment, right? And government's job here is to ensure the first concept we spoke about, movement, being interrelated to your nutrition, that, hey, if you combine those, it leads to happiness. If you're diseased, if you're stressed, you are a stress on the public health system, you're a stress on the family, you're a stress on everybody because you are not following a particular plan for your betterness. So schools need to inculcate. You would know, right? Doon School used to be one of those boarding schools earlier in the times that, they would promote activities and people will consider you to be very, very nice if you were a equestrian or if you were playing croquet or if you were playing golf or you had something or the else. Now schools are just having all these grounds, etc., in some square feet for hundreds of people playing basketball in one small field because it's just part of your daily curriculum. It will not get you anywhere in life. So getting anywhere in life has to be stopped. The state has to stress on importance itself, not only on education in terms of just studying, but also on this. And as a society, we need to realize this high time that, of course, that will lead to reduce in litigation, which is bad for me because the healthier the amount of people are, the less I'll sue public health sector and private hospitals. But it's better to have that rather than sue them and, have that kind of a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then everybody's become fit in Corona. It's very sadly speaking when people have started to realize that, it's COVID. So they have all the time in the world now. There is always time for 1 hour of exercising with a right space of mind, whether you're working or you're not working. But now people have started to find out that, hey, this is also important. You can really change yourself. It's not just those bunch of 10 guys on television who can get fit. So it's a societal effort, also a huge government effort where you need to fund, you need to build parks, you need to build stadiums, we don't question, has anybody questioned? Have you ever questioned your teacher? Why is there no tracking event happening in my school? I need a proper track for running. I've never done that. But as a right, it is there under Article 14, right to equality. You have the right to ask the state or the school authorities that I need a track. How many people are willing to run on that track? The amount of people joining the army up north, this is a stat I'll give you. And due to lack of stadiums, though Haryana, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh provide huge amount of infrastructure facilities for people who want to join the army. Rest alone in my village, I can tell you there are 2 basketball courts. There is a running track and there is a open gym. And I come from a very, very interior area of Haryana, Punjab, bordering somewhere where everybody is a farmer. But people do exercise at least 2 hours a day. And that's why you don't have obese people here. It's a cultural thing. They run on roads if they don't find something, which is sadly speaking what we spoke about, that infrastructure is not there. But whatever infrastructure they do have, there is a tracking field. I could not imagine. My school never had a track. There's a tracking field in the village where people got together, told the panchayat that I need a track because people here want to run and join, forces. So they have cemented tracks, running proper athlete tracks. Now that should be the job of the government to provide. Not my personal pocket should not say that I need to have a track. So culturally also it makes a difference. If 100 people living in your society tomorrow demand that there is a small track they may be constructed in this area, they will have to look into it if they don't, or provide you at least an alternative. Our stadiums are only cricket-oriented stadiums.
Correct.
There is no concept of football also. So I'm not against cricket, but all I'm saying is people need to have diverse thought process to realize this societal change, and the government has to support the same.
So interesting. I remember right when we were talking about, running on the roads.
Yep.
And pre-corona, I had a whole thappi of N95 masks at home.
Exactly.
Because I used to use N95 masks for running and going in the morning because I was like, if I run in this, it's actually detrimental to my health than actually doing good.
Right. Absolutely. Health. Imagine running in Delhi in winters. It's death. You're killing yourself than fitness.
Yeah,
so what
you should not be going out.
N95s and run. Yeah, you should not be going out. But where do I go? Is there a sanatorium where I can actually go and look into that I can do something? There is no concept of a sports complex. There is no sports complex. Is there a sports complex in Bombay which is accessible free of cost? Zilch. Nothing. You'll have to pay maybe ₹1 crore to go to Willingdon Club and all these places to, I don't know, or wait for 20 years to get a membership now. If somebody
is air pollution part of health and fitness, or is air pollution part of environment?
Absolutely. Environment and health both. Again, nobody questions. Everybody says the farmers burnt the crops and that is why there is pollution. What about industrial pollution? That's for north. What about industrial pollution from Agra, Mathura, New Delhi, Noida, Gurgaon? What about pollution from other states pouring into Delhi? What about what have you done for pollution standards? Just to ask you. I mean, as a society also and as a lawmaker, what have they done?
Correct.
Stopping buses and cars for 10 days and then starting again. The concept of pollution also, people were okay living with it until unless foreign media started promoting and saying that, hey, our guys are dying. Foreign correspondents are dying. Then only Indian people started realizing, oh, it's a bad thing. हाँ, इसको क्यों? हम तो मरते ही नहीं. CNN के correspondent मर जाते हैं. We are alive. What is so weird? Why are they dying because of this? You see, we are living with pollution.
Yeah.
I have seen people running in 600, 700 AQI levels in Delhi. It's such a fresh morning. And I wonder, I mean, what's this? You're adapting and making... So Beijing and Shanghai used to be super polluted back in early 2000s when they were developing. Their public came out with solutions. They had to come up with a solution. There was a huge upcry about it from within the... I mean, China itself being so communist and so stringent, it had to take some actions because everybody was like, you're killing us due to lung disease.
Correct.
It's your job as a communist state also to provide us with healthy facilities to perform well in Olympics. Come on. Here on the other side, people are very happy with the pollution. I never had friends who used to say that why is there deforestation happening? It's very nice. They should build societies on more hills. I will have a better view from there. So the concept of realizing, health was also never there. What does the law say on it? It is also the responsibility of the government. Again, I say, your constitutional rights. Indians are only aware of their constitutional rights when they want to believe in that this is their right. It's a self-created right we make, right? If I bump my car into you, I will come up with a law which you'll never imagine. This is my constitutional right. But what is your actual constitutional right? You need to know. It is of a wealthy and a healthy life. How do you make it healthier? By public health system. So it's absolutely connected with the environment and health. It's interlinked. There is a National Greens Tribunal which has been set up in Delhi, which talks about deforestation, mining, etc. There are health experts on boarded. There are environmentologists who are there. They all talk about this, and so many petitions come to them on mining, etc. That really kill the vibe overall of the area and leads to pollution. But the general public is not aware of them. They don't take it as a right. I stay in Gurugram now for some time, or Gurgaon as we speak. Nobody questions. Everybody's very happy with high rises. You don't have roads, it's okay. There is no mitti aa jati hai. Pata nahi hai, season hi aisa hai. India is changing. Rajasthan sand is coming into Gurgaon. Aravali's deforestation is not a concern. This is stupid talks. If you're not an aware citizen about your country, what do you expect the country to do for you? So you need to have that awareness about all of these things. It's interlinked, absolutely interlinked. Health, nutrition, and environment, totally interlinked. And part of government's mandate, when they come and approach you and say, hey, vote for me, I will give you, 15 lakh rupees to aa hi gaye hain. Health bhi to chahiye saath mein, that's what I mean. I mean, 15 lakhs plus health. I mean, I want both. So it should be like that. When you vote for somebody again, whoever it is, please keep health as an agenda. You'll have a societal change.
Correct.
If you don't keep health as an agenda, you'll never have societal change.
Very interesting.
I've never had a rally where people have questioned and spoken about world climate in India. It's more about he's Hindu, I am Muslim, Ashdin is something, and Antriksh is, he drinks and whatnot. And then we have a problem that, that's my issue. Health and all is taken care of. Health is secondary. First is all of this nonsense, right?
Correct.
So if you question people on intelligible topics when you want to elect your leader, it will bring in a societal change. It's tough.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I take it in that sense that, activism is very nice, giving speeches is very nice, but when it actually comes to performing on these frontiers, it's us, the people, who need to actually question our government. We've elected them, right? So it's your right. It's their job to revert to you and say, well, why is there no facility here? Well, what have you done to avail that right? Have you really concentrated and went and told your kid in the school that do you do your bit of physical education? I remember physical education used to be a class where you go for scoring 100 marks because the teacher will just give you marks to passing your board exams. See, it starts from your home. Fitness starts at home. Well-being starts at home. If people start telling you that movement, actually last note, movement, such a good thing to say. We are so lazy Indians. We really don't even want to pick up our cup of coffee every day. Movement starts where people are active in their life and they enjoy doing what they do. I don't believe any Westerner has 100 house helps who come up and mop their floors and clean their rooms and then they go to work and then also crib about life.
Correct.
I mean, they have to do everything on their own. Whoever it is, you have friends, I have friends, we have relatives. They do everything on their own.
Mm.
So it all comes from a mindset. It all comes from a culture, which you cannot entirely blame on the government.
Mm.
You are making the government have that culture because that's your mindset. If my mindset is to be lazy, the government is also very happy because as a machinery, it realizes the needs of the people is to have more maids. That's all, not to have better parks where they can get fit. That's how I look at it.
Interesting.
And and though I might sound like Adolf Hitler on the channel, because when he started talking about fitness, has anybody been to Nuremberg? I'll ask my listeners, if you go to Nuremberg, let alone his policies, his philosophies, his thoughts. But the first thing that he spoke about development of Germany as a state, or Denmark, Norway, etc., was to have gymnasiums and have better parks to make the population fitter and healthier so that they could contribute to the manufacturing and growth of the society. I don't believe in all of those weird ideologies and crazy ideologies he had, but look at the way how fitness was concentrated on. And that's why Western concept of fitness is very different than India.
Correct.
Right? I don't know. I've had a session with a public health official, and he just spoke to me and told me about that public health is, we've made gyms for people, open gyms. We've made gyms for... I kept asking him, I said, well, working out is one of the parts. I said, what about the overall well-being? And in that session, they could not give us a detailed plan on how overall health should have been developed, because he himself, when he was growing up in his younger years, did not have the exposure that we are speaking right now.
No, they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah, they don't know. It's just a plan that's come to them. Hockey खेलना है, अब खेलना है, वो कितने ground में खेलना है? 1000 लोग hockey खेल रहे हैं ground में. See, that's what they don't know what they're doing. Problem is because nobody has come and sat with him and had a discussion that when you are putting out this policy, have you gotten proof from the public? Has the public seen what it can do? So our role as 50% citizens in the country does make a difference to overall, as to how and what we are today. It's not only entirely the government, right?
Correct. Absolutely.
Right.
And like you said, all this change starts at home.
It starts at home.
And then we have to take it forward. But that taking it forward is what we have to do.
Taking forward, exactly. Just start writing in to me, and I shall start putting it out to the government, and I'll create a channel for you guys. Why not? Directly. I mean, use the lawyers. I, as a lawyer, if I'm sitting free of cost for you guys, write in. I mean, there's no harm in trying and failing, right? What we've seen during the COVID times was the most influential individual could not get a bed in the hospital. No matter how well connected, how rich you are. If we had better amenities and facilities, because we questioned the government before jumping blindly into believing whatever be the government, I'm not talking BJP, Congress, etc. Whoever the government is for the past 40 years, 30 years, 20 years, whoever currently is in power, who wasn't, all the politicians, if we had questioned through our authority of law, our judiciary would have been much stronger, our executive would have been more responsible, and we would not have to see what we are seeing today, which is the plight of the nation. So it is all a trickling effect. It's how the nature works. There is a circle of life where if you follow some policies, you have a better country to yourself.
Beautiful.
Yes. I think that's enough philosophy. I've taken Ashdin's role today on this show. It's not Know Your Kanoon, it's Know Your Rights and philosophy.
What is the habit for today? Write to the government. Perfect.
I think actually we should start something on your show, a segment maybe once in a week where there is a problem, people should write in, and we can probably create one pool and then just bombard the BMC office or PMC office or NDMC office or whatever corporation you are in with those letters only on PDFs that, dear sir, as representative of students, our listeners, students, etc., we are just bombarding you with all this stuff. Let them revert back to you on your emails. What do they say?
Sir, please stop. That's probably what we will get. Crazy.
All right. So it was wonderful to have you. Any last comments from your side?
Thank you. No, I think this was totally enlightening because I genuinely never thought about health and fitness from this angle. And I'd always believed that it was my responsibility and usse khatam. Like if I had to work out, I had to find my place to work out. If I was cribbing about the environment and my air pollution, I had to get air purifier at home. I had to get mask for myself. I never thought that there was something bigger that we could be doing. And this conversation has opened my eyes to that.
There are a lot of NGOs you can write into, and they do help you with this. There are environmental NGOs, there are environment lawyers, in fact, wherein you can actually file your petitions and question. There is a wing in every municipal corporation. If you find that out, that wing is responsible for health, mental wellness, fitness, and also responsible for providing you with adequate amenities to exercise all of that. But sadly speaking, that brings in, in India, those MCs enjoy their lives because nobody has ever written a mail to them. So you're just paying taxes for their salaries and for making them bigger MCs.
अरे कुछ आया है कंप्यूटर पे क्या है?
Forward कर दो इसको. Delete it. Some guy has awoken. Kill the guy. Don't respond. We don't know why you hired us. What is my job at being this MC, a bigger MC?
Super.
So question there, right? So thank you so much, Ashdin. It was lovely speaking with you. We've taken more than an hour of yours.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you for spending the time.
My pleasure.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you're not following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We'd like to thank our sponsors on the network this week, Cred, Siet, thewholetruthfoods.com, and PayPal. We really do appreciate the support. On Cyrus Says, we discussed quite a bit about the local assembly elections this month. Vasanti Hariprakash was there to talk about the West Bengal elections, and then we also spoke to Pradeep Gupta, a psephologist and author. He's the chairman and MD of Access My India. Do definitely check that episode out. Great conversation. Tune into This Round Is On Me, where Gauri Devi Dayal caught up on the latest trends in the PR industry with Archana Jain from PR Pundit. On The Habit Coach, Ashdin Doctor spoke to Anandita Chatterjee. She's the founder of Travel Chatter. She's been a marketer with some large firms and has traveled to 67 countries so far. It was a RuPaul Drag Race fan club on KBCD where Farhad and Sunetro discussed the show's best moments and talents. Amber Rana was joined by celebrity fitness trainer Shivoham on Know Your Kanoon to discuss fitness laws and regulations in India. They talk about the laws and infrastructure that exist to protect gyms, trainers, and also consumers in the fitness industry. And on the note with Maruk Inayat, we have clinical psychologist and friend of the network, Sonali Gupta. She talks about ongoing mental health issues like survivor's guilt, coping with anxiety around the pandemic, and doom scrolling. And with that, let me get you back to your show.
Want to learn something new and have a few minutes to spare? Well, then go for the Traveling Professor's Diary, where I, Siddharth Deshmukh, the Traveling Professor, will help you glean from all the insights that I've gained from wherever I've traveled, learned, taught, and repeated. Join me every Tuesday and Thursday on the IVM Podcast website, app, or wherever you get your podcasts from.